Adam Driver's performance as Kylo Ren is easily one of the best parts of the Star Wars sequels, and ever since his debut in The Force Awakens, the character has stood firm as one of the franchise's most beloved villains. But just how did Driver prepare himself for the part? In the wake of 9/11, a 17-year-old Adam Driver postponed his acting dreams in order to join the Marines. Prior to this, the actor had tried and failed to get into the Juilliard Performance School. During a TED Talk he gave in 2015, Driver elaborated on his decision to abandon the arts and join the armed forces.
I joined the Marine Corps and I loved it. I love being a Marine. It's one of the things I'm most proud of having done in my life.
Driver's career in the Marines was cut short when he was medically discharged. Luckily, however, he reapplied to Juilliard soon after, and this time he got in. Many years later, Driver used his military experience to drive Kylo Ren's physicality.
How he responds to things is probably a bit physically quicker than most because he's on, it's on edge there at war.
But that's not the only useful experience Driver gained from the Marines.
My experience from the military was more in the relationships, actually, that I formed, and that kind of camaraderie and like the work ethic and working as a team.
The actor has also explained how a military environment can be similar to life on a movie set.
There's somebody in charge who knows what they're doing, the director, and when they know what they're doing, what you're doing feels kind of exciting and important, and when they don't, it feels like a waste of time.
One thing that many people assume about Adam Driver is that he can be a pretty intense guy on set. And while some of his Star Wars co-stars are known for enjoying a laugh or two on set, Driver has garnered a reputation for being almost as brooding as Kylo Ren himself. In an interview with Radio 1, Driver's co-star John Boyega explained, "I think when he's on set as Kylo Ren, the dark side of the Force likes to capture him sometimes." Speaking about their time filming The Last Jedi, Star Wars veteran Mark Hamill told Vanity Fair, "He's very moody and intense. I remember saying to Adam, I don't know how you work or your technique. All I'm suggesting is, if you'd like, maybe we could go to lunch, we could get together and hang out." But Driver insists this wasn't part of his process. He just likes to stay in the zone between takes. The actor told Vulture, "I like to stay focused on set, but it's not because I have a process that I'm imposing on everybody else. Sometimes you have to be more focused in between scenes because it's pure comedy in between takes." One way Driver did that was by sometimes staying in character as Ren after the camera stopped rolling, even though he's not usually a method actor. The fact is that Kylo Ren is a complex and serious character, so for his scenes, jokes with Driver's castmates had to come second to his performance. Driver's co-star Donal Gleason later explained, "There's enough going on already without adding in knock-knock jokes. Depending on the day, Adam is hilarious, but he's always good." Starring in a franchise as huge and beloved as Star Wars is always going to come with an overwhelming amount of pressure. When Driver first began work on 2015's The Force Awakens, he found that dealing with that pressure was a matter of simply not thinking about it.
Well, I think with the first one, it was more terror or denying that, there's a Millennium Falcon. You're like, oh, okay, put it out of your mind and just focus on the story.
In a different interview, Driver admitted that it wasn't just the history of the franchise that added pressure to his performance, but also the sheer scale of the project. He said that by the time he had begun filming on The Last Jedi, the level of terror, I think, was different. The Force Awakens, I kinda had no idea what the end result is. It was all new, and I'd never worked on anything that size or scale before. Fortunately, when it came time to return to Kylo Ren for The Last Jedi, he felt comfortable enough with the character and the world that he was able to unwind a little. Driver explained, "The second time I just knew more, so whenever you kind of know more, for me, I relax a little bit." Let's be honest, Kylo Ren has done some pretty nasty things in his time. There's killing his dad for one, of course, but his allegiance with the evil Snoke and his desire for galactic domination aren't exactly endearing either. You'd think there could be little doubt that the guy is a real villain. Heck, he's even got the red lightsaber to prove it. But Driver disagrees. He said that, while preparing to play the role, he looked for Kylo's human side and tried to figure out why he behaves the way he does.
Through JJ, kind of hearing what he had to say about him, tried to hopefully make him as human as possible.
In an interview with Empire magazine, Driver explained that part of the reason for his character's questionable morals is that he's a fanatic. He said, "When they think of their actions as morally justified, it makes them dangerous and unpredictable. I never thought of the character as an evil person." Driver also lays some of the blame on Kylo's parents, Han Solo and Leia Organa, and their obsession with the rebellion's cause, a cause Ben Solo didn't necessarily connect with. Driver told Entertainment Weekly, "Looking around and not seeing yourself and not identifying with what's around you, I think affects how we behave." Of course, it helps that Driver considers himself closer to the dark side than the light, as he once joked, "I live in the dark side, constantly reminding ourselves that we're all going to die soon." For an actor as thoughtful and serious as Adam Driver, playing a character as angry and impulsive as Kylo Ren meant tuning into a certain mindset. In the past, Driver has said that he views Kylo Ren as being young, impetuous, and driven by convictions that, despite being strong, aren't entirely rational. According to Driver, that aspect of his character was really brought to life for The Last Jedi.
Something about the youthfulness of him was not lost in Ryan's writing.
When first getting to grips with Kylo's character, Driver realized the character was at that point of early adulthood where he had to decide who he wanted to be and figure out his place in the world. So when playing him, Driver looked for something beyond his own measured demeanor and tried to draw out Kylo's less mature and more impulsive attitude. And when it came to accessing the anger he needed for Kylo's explosive bursts, one thing seems to have worked in particular.
I just think about taxes and traffic, and I'm there.
Even the best theater school in the world can't prepare you for every acting challenge, and Driver struggled with one major aspect of life in the Star Wars universe, the green screen. The actor told Seth Meyers that it can be pretty difficult to get into character as a fearsome villain when you're stuck in front of a green screen on an empty backlot.
But you're standing in front of the screen and they're like, "Trust us, your lightsaber is working." You know? Yeah. Or there's space behind you, it looks really cool.
One thing that helped Driver better connect to Kylo's world was actually watching the final product. Driver has said that normally he doesn't watch the movies he's in, as it makes him feel too self-conscious, and can interfere with his ability to embody his character in the moment. However, he made an exception for Star Wars, because he wanted to see what Kylo was experiencing while Driver was acting against those green screens. He told Esquire, "Part of the impulse in wanting to see it is because there's so much visual going on that I didn't know what was happening." Driver added that seeing The Force Awakens helped him understand the world of Star Wars and reassured him that he was on the right track. So much so, in fact, that he almost decided he didn't need to watch The Last Jedi. The first item on any Darksider's checklist is a good old-fashioned scary mask, even if it's meant more for intimidating people than it is for, say, life support. And while Kylo Ren's mask might help him tap into his villainous side, Driver himself found that the headgear was more of a hindrance than a help when it came to playing the role. He even described the costume as the hardest part of returning to the character for The Last Jedi, saying that working with the mask is especially challenging because it badly limits his vision.
It's terrible, yeah. But to this day, I still don't know who's in the movie because I haven't seen anybody.
Despite this, Driver also felt that the mask helped him understand and convey his character's internal conflict. For The Force Awakens, the costume department carefully decided which characters wore masks, because they didn't want the looks to feel derivative of the original movies. Driver said that Kylo's reason for wearing one is that he's trying to hide his insecurities about living up to Darth Vader. He told GQ, "The person Kylo's pretending to be on the outside is not who he is. He's a vulnerable kid who doesn't know where to put his energy, but when he puts his mask on, suddenly he's playing a role." In order to make Kylo Ren work as a character, Driver had to find a voice that successfully conveyed his rage, but didn't come across as silly at the same time. So he worked with the sound team to come up with the robotic voice that would come from under the mask. As sound editor Matthew Wood explains, "I actually came up with a process to allow Adam Driver to be very method about it and hear what his mask was sounding like while he was performing. We'd bring him into the studio and he could get right up on the microphone and get really creepy about his process and hear it." But it wasn't just Driver and Wood who had to be happy with Kylo's voice. Wood said, "J.J. Abrams really wanted people to feel it. He wanted that organic process, and he wanted Kylo Ren's mask to portray that sort of intimidation." However, once on set, Abrams apparently changed his mind about the voice they'd worked on. During one interview, Driver's co-star Oscar Isaac recalled that the first scene both actors shot together was a torture scene, but things didn't go entirely to plan.
You know, we did the first take, and then JJ came up and was like, "Yeah, maybe try something different." And you're like, "What?"
Fortunately, after that false start, Driver was able to land on the right voice and make Kylo as menacing as he needed to be. As a 6'3" former Marine, Driver was no stranger to the physicality required of a force-wielding warrior, but he still had to hit the gym to prepare for the role. And he made some friends doing so too. Shane Finn, who owned a gym in Kerry, Ireland, met the actor as he prepared for shooting on The Last Jedi. Finn described Driver as one of the nicest guys who had ever trained at the gym, and said that the actor made a particular effort to thank the staff for their help during his training. Driver's hard work paid off too, inspiring The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson to introduce the shirtless scene that has since passed into Star Wars legend. Speaking with W Magazine, John said, "He knew he looked good. Adam looks so damn good because he'd been training hardcore for the past 6 months for those fight scenes. I'm like, he looks so good, we should put him up there." Driver's shirtless scene lived on even after the movie left cinemas, thanks to a viral sensation that came to be known as the Kylo Ren Challenge. Fans, internet lurkers, and even John Mayer posted photos of themselves shirtless, wearing the same kind of eyebrow-raising, high-waisted pants that Driver wore for the scene. By far, the best part about being in Star Wars is getting to play around with lightsabers. Just ask Ewan McGregor.
To begin with, it was quite difficult not to make the sound.
Yeah.
And also when it goes away, because it makes that nice noise.
Kylo Ren's own red lightsaber, with its unique plasma crossguard, has already become one of the saga's most iconic weapons. And Driver said that this generation of Star Wars actors have had the privilege of working with the best lightsabers yet. He told The Telegraph, "This is the first time that we're actually fighting with the whole lightsaber too. Before, it was just the hilt, with something like an antenna or a green stick. But this was state-of-the-art. It actually sends off light." Driver's commitment to lightsaber training earned his co-stars respect too.
I was watching Adam and he gives it so full out every single time.
But Driver himself admits that throwing himself into his fight training was a no-brainer.
It's just rigorous in a great way. And these stunt guys are very disciplined, so you can't half-ass it.
Luckily for the cast, mastering the moves for The Force Awakens made preparing for The Last Jedi just a little easier. Speaking with Screen Slam, Driver said, "Because we started Last Jedi almost a month after we finished The Force Awakens, that kind of vocabulary was still in our bodies, so it made things easier, a little bit faster. But the rigor of doing it was maybe more intense for this one." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.